We are eternal, the pinnacle of evolution and existence. Before us, you are nothing. Your extinction is inevitable. We are the end of everything. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the Mass Effect series, you might know that quote. If you don't know that quote, that's fine too. But that quote comes from the antagonist, well, really the secondary antagonist of Mass Effect, the first Mass Effect game, a game made by BioWare and published by Microsoft. The only one published by Microsoft before the company was bought by EA. But this quote was said by Sovereign. Sovereign is a Reaper. They are a race of giant robotic squid from dark space. But the most interesting thing about them to me was the fact was how they claimed to be the smartest, the most powerful things ever. And they pretty much prove that. They have the ability to wipe out thousands upon millions of sentient life beings in the galaxy. They built the mass relays and the Citadel. They, in my opinion, they're one of the most they're one of the best enemies in a video game ever because they're so alien and so not understandable. They don't even give us the courtesy of telling us why they need to do what they need to do as of Mass Effect 1. And that was one of the things I really liked about them. But this quote here, I consider Mass Effect 1 to be canon Mass Effect, and I consider Mass Effect 2 to be canon Mass Effect. But I don't consider Mass Effect 3 to be canon Mass Effect, and I'm going to tell you why, and this is the biggest, most glaring problem I have with Mass Effect 3. And I know the time for talking about Mass Effect 3 has passed, but I came to this conclusion a few days ago while taking out the trash. I was thinking about, I had just gotten done playing a playthrough of Mass Effect 3. I had beat the game, I had watched the extended cut DLC, and I think that was alright. But I don't consider Mass Effect 3 to be canon Mass Effect 3 because you know why? Because right from the first, well, no. Okay, so let me start. The first time that the Reaper, the identity of the Reapers is broken is at the end of Mass Effect 2. At the end of Mass Effect 2, there's a little scene where Shepard is walking among Normandy and the survivors of the suicide mission will be there getting ready for the next mission. Or if everyone died and you just have Joker walks alone. And then it peeks out to dark space where a bunch of Reapers are gathering. Obviously, this implies that they're preparing for an invasion. But remember Mass Effect 1? Remember how Sovereign, the whole point of the game was to stop Sovereign from activating the Citadel's relay so that the Reapers from dark space could come on through and harvest all sentient life. You know, that bad problem that just was the whole reason we were fighting Saren and all that. Well, now, I know that people are going to say, well, they never set this in stone, they never actually said this. Well, no, but it was implied. See, I was always under the assumption that the reason why Sovereign was doing all this was because the Reapers are trapped in dark space. And I'm pretty sure that Shepard even says that the Reapers are trapped in dark space. I'm pretty sure somebody says that in Mass Effect 1. So I was under the impression that the Reapers, once Sovereign was stopped, could not come out of dark space because they were trapped, that you couldn't FTL it out from dark space into the galaxy. I don't know why, but that's what I assumed. And Mass Effect 2 didn't do anything that, didn't do anything against that. In fact, Mass Effect 2's plot didn't honestly have anything to do with Mass Effect 1's plot, and that's why I liked it, because it was completely independent, but it still had similar themes in it, and I thought that was a good move on BioWare's part, because they could improve things that needed improving, like the combat and the more personal storyline. But Mass Effect 3, right from the very beginning of the game, the Reapers invade. They come to Earth and they blow up ships and they destroy buildings, and then I was thinking this the other day. How come, if the Reapers are so smart, if they are the pinnacle of evolution existence, if they are so smart that they only think of logic, if they could have gotten to our world, our galaxy, by FTL, which is an unreasonable thing because of their powerful, their intelligence, then what was the point of Mass Effect 1? Why would Sovereign risk his species being discovered and risking a possible preparation for a Reaper invasion? Now, it didn't end up that way. In Mass Effect 2, nobody believes the Reapers exist. It's not until Mass Effect 3 that there's some small preparation. Garrus gets a task force, the Krogan, prep themselves for war, it's mentioned a few times, but even a Sovereign can't predict the future, though. There's no prediction, they don't have psychic powers, so why would Sovereign make an alliance with the Geth and Saren to take back the Citadel Relay, when it would make much more sense for the Reapers to just hump it to the galaxy by FTL and just surprise everybody, out of nowhere a bunch of freaking ships just appear and start blasting your planet. That would make a lot more sense than having Sovereign do all this crap. And you're supposed to believe that the Sovereign doesn't know where the Mu Relay is or Ilos is. Well, I suppose he know where it is. I guess he didn't know. Okay, fine, never mind. He doesn't know where the conduit is. That's what I'm trying to say. But I just don't understand the point of Mass Effect 1. And with that, you have to now assume that the Reapers are not perfect. And perfection would be the pinnacle of evolution existence. So unless Bioware comes out and says, oh, well, the Reaper was lying, which would be so cheap and so stupid, but it could be done, but they haven't. So I'm going to assume that Mass Effect 1 was canon, and I'm going to assume that in Mass Effect 3 they ruin and they reduce the Reapers to being just giant monster robot squid who have cool lines and make zombies, and they, in the end, with the catalyst, then they make them out to be basically robot slaves of a holographic AI. And that is why I do not consider Mass Effect 3 to be the real story, the real ending. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a good game. It had good moments. But just because of that, and just because they go back on everything the Reapers were, which changes the game very much when you look at it that way. And then with the other amount of plot holes and the fact that Shepard has so much more auto dialogue, I can't really think of Mass Effect 3 as a good sequel to such great games before. So, and that is why Mass Effect 3, in my opinion, sucks.